My name's Jeannie Sullivan, and I will be guiding you through our training session today, 3 training mistakes suppliers make. So I would love to go ahead and get started with some introductions. So as I mentioned before, I am Jeannie Sullivan, and I am the Director of Learning Strategy at BlueVolt. And I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Catherine Hall, who's a marketing associate here, and I'll let her say a little bit about herself and her role.
Yeah, so I am the marketing associate and everything marketing here at BlueVolt, and it's great to partner with organizations like ASA to provide knowledge and strategies of how to further educate your channel for the benefit of everyone involved.
Thank you, Kat. And she's here with me to help answer some questions along the way, and she'll be monitoring a very important part of our session today, which is around the chat box, which is how we're going to talk back and forth to each other. And I'll step you through that in just a moment. Tina, unfortunately, is traveling today and not able to be here with us. She's our Partner Success Manager here at BlueVolt, and she will be on upcoming webinars, so you'll get a chance to know her in the future if you attend one of those as well. So let's go ahead and get started with a little bit of an overview of the content for today's session. Before we get there, I should probably tell you a little bit about BlueVolt. So BlueVolt provides learning solutions that increase sales, differentiate brands, and improve productivity. We're here today to offer you some insight that we've gained in working with suppliers to educate their channel on their products. We've done our best to make this presentation as simple as possible and to keep our presentation concise because we know that your time is valuable. That means that we've built in plenty of time for questions, so feel free to post your questions in the chat and we'll get them answered. Just to get us started and give you a chance to get comfortable using the chat feature, I would love for you to find that chat feature right now. Let's see, it should be available in your GoToMeeting platform. You can find a little place to put the chat in. I'll post something there right now so that you can see it coming from me. You'll want to make sure that you have the ability to text back. Okay, great. I see ASA staff has found the chat. So this is going to be our primary means of communication during this presentation. So as we go along, I'm going to be asking you questions, and if you can type in a quick yes or no, or give me some feedback and some information about what you're currently doing or what questions you have about the content we're sharing, then that would be wonderful. And so I know we have a small group with us here today. We will also have a chance to open up for questions at the end of the presentation, so you can ask questions then as well. So now that we know how to communicate with each other and we've got these channels of communication open, let's go ahead and dive in. So we're going to go ahead and get straight to mistake number 1, which is offering training but not online. So maybe this means that you're hosting live training events in person or visiting your distributors in person to educate them on your products. But for whatever reason, that could be budgets, resources, priorities, simply not knowing about e-learning solution options, you haven't made this training available for your distributors online. So what I want to do today is really give you a chance to take a look at some recent data that we've gathered that might motivate you to consider going online with your education. So we recently conducted a survey of distributor learners to see how they like to learn. So this is just a small snippet, a portion of the data that came back to us, but we found it was really, we could gain some insight from it, and we wanted to share it with you. So as you can see, video and online courses are by far the preferred learning method for people of all ages. Our data also revealed that one of the key reasons for this is that these delivery methods are self-paced and can be completed at any time. That means more learners can refer to product information in the moment or as needed to help with a customer situation. Now, I'd like to ask you another question that you can answer in the chat box or maybe just jot down on a sheet of paper if you're following along. I'd like for you to think about, how do you like to learn? And what is your preferred method of learning online? So, Kat, I'll ask you, since you're here in the room with me, what is your preferred method of learning?
I love to be in an online environment that's interactive. So rather than just sitting and watching a course and maybe paying attention or not, having knowledge checks to actually understand if I'm understanding the language, because that really is all about retention. So for us at BlueVolt, when we're learning about BlueVolt or about various things in our knowledge checks, it's nice to know if I'm actually understanding things and applying it to my job, or if it's just something I'm not getting.
Absolutely, yes. And so I love that you brought up knowledge checks, because that's definitely something that we also saw in the data, is that learners, when they are taking their time away from their job or away from their personal lives to enroll in and take an online course, they really do want to acquire that knowledge. They're not just going through the motions. They want to know that it's creating an impact and a benefit for them. So take a moment right now and think about the ways that you enjoy learning in an online environment. And remember that the people that you're training, that you're educating through your channel, they also have their preferences that are probably quite similar to yours. So one of the things that you'll notice consistently throughout this webinar that we've put together for you is that I'm going to be offering you simple steps, simple actions that you can take and implement right now, right away. So one of the things that we feel like is very valuable to any training situation is being able to apply whatever it is that you've learned. So for each of the 3 mistakes that we're going to talk about, I'm also going to offer you some simple steps that you can take in each situation to shift that mistake from a mistake to a success. So if you're not yet offering your training online, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed by the process, which is completely natural and something that we see quite a bit. Or maybe you have lots of questions about how to get started. So here are just a few simple steps that will help you take your classroom training online. One idea that I personally love and have used with clients over and over again is to record video of your classroom sessions. So one thing that's interesting about this is you don't need to worry about it needing to be perfect. Your learners are most interested in access to relevant information at the time they need it. So even if you're using your iPhone, you can do a great job of creating a training video. So another option is to interview your subject matter experts. Again, your iPhone or a simple audio recorder can help you capture this conversation in a format that you're then able to share with your learners. They'll be excited to get to go behind the scenes, so to speak, from inside experts on how the product works or what their favorite benefits are. That could be all the way from someone who helped to design the product or someone who's in charge of the launch. But that really, getting that behind the scenes look is going to pique some interest from your learners. And my personal favorite simple solution for creating online training is to repurpose your existing marketing presentations by adding narration to transform them into an online course. You can add a few questions for your learners at the end to create that knowledge check that Kat was talking about just a few moments ago. And that will allow your learners to be able to know if they're actually, taking in and getting the information or not. And you can use simple software or a learning management platform to help you get the job done when it comes to creating these simple online courses and transforming a marketing presentation into a powerful online learning tool. So I'd like for you to just take a moment now, and you can either post in the chat or just make some notes as you're following along. But which one of these simple steps feels like something that is doable or the right move within your organization right now? So just take a moment and write down the step that's resonating with you most, that feels most natural for you to overcome this barrier of doing training but not yet doing training online.
So this is Kat, but I think that one of the most valuable things to be able to begin the process of moving your courses from classroom to online is really, as Jeannie mentioned, the recording video of your classroom sessions. Surprisingly, people outside the classroom can benefit significantly to the conversations that happen during a classroom time. So not only do you capture the curriculum that the teacher is addressing, but you also get the conversations that are happening between students as well as student to professor, which is something that you cannot capture necessarily in just creating a course. So that's a really good beginner step to continue to capture information that you wouldn't normally think of.
Yeah, I love that, Kat. And, you know, yesterday I was visiting with a manufacturer and we were talking with them about taking they primarily do instructor-led training, and they want to begin taking some of that online. And I got to spend some time with one of their instructors. And while we were spending time together, he told us this really wonderful story about being at the museum with his grandkids and realizing that the same science that is happening within their products is something that they're teaching at the children's museum, at the local children's museum. And I was thinking about how a lot of times when we take our classroom training to online training, we leave out the stories. We leave out that part of the instructor personality that a lot of times is what keeps people engaged in the classroom. So when you record your classroom sessions, sometimes you still get a chance to capture those stories and you capture the personality of the instructors and things like that, which can really help to keep people engaged in the process. Okay, so again, if you have any questions or any thoughts on this, or maybe you've had some success in transferring your classroom training to online training, and if so, then pop it over in the chat and me or Kat will get back to you. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to our next mistake. So mistake number 2 is offering online training, but infrequently. So a lot of times, suppliers will offer online training, but not frequently. And I'm wondering, for those of you who are currently offering online training, how often do you release a new course? If you can pop that answer in the chat box or just make a note of it in your notebook. It's good to see sort of where you are now, and then what we're going to talk about next are some best practices on our most successful online learning customers, how often they are posting new courses to their platform, to their audience. So let's take a look. Right now we're revisiting that data that we collected on distributor learners earlier this year, our Voice of the eLearner survey. We found out that 87% of respondents say that frequent online courses impact the products they recommend. After interviewing many suppliers who are successful with their e-learning initiatives, we found out that a best practice is to offer at least one new course each quarter. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have one per quarter per product. At this point, it's more about like brand awareness and differentiation and your distributor channel understanding that you're committed to investing in their knowledge of your products. And so this doesn't mean that you need one per quarter per product line or anything like that. But if you are offering new information, new knowledge once a quarter, what we've learned is that that's enough to keep your brand top of mind with your channel. What we've also learned is that many of you wear lots of hats within your organization, and creating courses is usually, or I don't want to say usually, can be one more thing on an overly crowded to-do list. So that's why we'd like to recommend a process for simplifying training production by integrating it into your existing marketing process. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. So that I can show you some of the ways that we have attempted to streamline this process with our existing customers who are creating e-learning for their channels. If you think back to the 3 simple ways to get started with online learning, one of them was to transform your marketing presentations into courses. Since most of you probably have a marketing process for each new product launch already, why not add a simple step to create a narrated course at the end of your standard process? So one of the things that I also wanted to share with you are some simple tools that we use here at BlueVolt to keep this streamlined and easy. So one new tool that I really enjoy using and have just started using this year is a online presentation tool. You can find it at beautiful.ai, and it allows you to create beautiful branded presentations very simply, very easily. This presentation that you're watching right now was created in beautiful .ai. And what's great about it is you can export it to PowerPoint. So that's exactly what we did today. I created it online with a few simple steps, exported it as a PowerPoint presentation, and that's how you're receiving this presentation right now. So check that out if you want some ideas as to how to make the content development a little more easy and streamlined. There are also lots of options for recording your presentations while your product experts present them. So if you're not currently doing this, don't get caught up in thinking that you need a sophisticated software platform in order to do this. There are some very inexpensive and simple tools. Zoom is one of them, a video conferencing tool where you can record a presentation as you're giving it online. And if you're going through this process of turning a marketing presentation into an online course, this is something that you can do. You don't need to have an audience. You can just get in a conference room with your subject matter experts, record your presentation as you're going through it. That will record your audio as well, and then you've got a simple online course. So number 3, so our platform that we have here at BlueVolt, which is a learning management system, allows you to add in a knowledge check at the end of your course. But you could also do this using a simple survey tool like Typeform or SurveyMonkey. So I just wanted to give you some tools and let you know that there are some things out there. If you are constrained by budgets, if you are constrained with technology options, that creating online courses doesn't have to be difficult. It can be streamlined and easy, and we're happy to help you think through any of the technology that would help you get the marketing that you're already creating within your marketing process delivered and available as education to your channel. So again, I just want to remind you to let us know in the chat if you have questions, and also jot down any of these tools that sound interesting to you or that you want to learn more about. So again, that was beautiful.ai, Zoom for video conferencing, and our platform at BlueVolt, which is a learning management system, can help you add in knowledge checks, but also you could use a simple survey tool like Typeform or SurveyMonkey. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to mistake number 3. Mistake number 3 is not offering any training at all. So far we've talked about not offering training online and not offering training frequently enough, but what about those of you out there who aren't offering training at all? We're curious, what are the barriers that keep you from educating your channel, and why haven't you made training your channel a priority yet? So here are some of the things that we hear from our customers about why they aren't offering training. Number 1, they don't know where to start. Number 2, they want to know what their competition is doing when it comes to training, and they're sort of stuck in this, we don't want to move forward with training until we fully understand what our competition is doing. Or they just decided to keep doing things as they've always done them. Kat, are these the same things that you're hearing from customers?
Yeah, I think that they totally match up to what I'm hearing from customers. And I know you're going to get into this, so I won't share all the secrets yet. But it really is crucial to examine if this is valuable for your company. Specifically, when we live in an age where it's crucial to not only tell your story, but to help the people who are selling your product understand your brand, why tools or various products are important to the end user. And so Jeannie will get into more about why that's crucial, because I don't want to give away her secret sauce. But part of this suffering is to figure out, is this something we need to do, and understanding that, yes, it's crucial to your business strategy.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's get into some of those things that we see. So a lot of times when you just keep doing things as you've always done them, you think like no harm, no foul, right? We're doing, our business is still existing. It may be growing not as quickly as they want it to, or maybe things are slowing down. Whatever it is, the situation with your business right now, a lot of times when you're not investing in training or offering training at all, you think like, well, let's just keep doing things the way we've always done them. Where's the harm in that? But we've done some research, and here are a few of the different ways where the different experiences or results that can happen when you are not investing in training at all and when you're delaying training and how that can impact your business. So these are just a few ways that not taking any action when it comes to training can negatively impact your business. Lower new product sales, lower deal values, increased discounting, higher turnover among sales associates, longer sales cycles, fewer repeat sales, lower margins, and more calls per sale. And so I want you to take a look at this list and jot down on the sheet of paper, or feel free to send it over in the chat box and let us know, are any of these challenges that you are currently dealing with within your organization? And if they are, then training may be the answer to helping you turn that around. So I know you didn't want to give away my secret sauce, Kat, but now that you see it and it's up on the screen, are there any of these 8 different sort of results of delaying training that you feel like are more relevant to being solved by a training solution than others?
I think that all of these can be solved through strategic training in one shape or form. The one that I am familiar with, because we've been talking with customers about this particular issue, is having higher turnover among sales associates. With our industry getting older and starting to figure out, do we sell the business, do we retire, how are we going to continue? There is concern with younger people coming in and leaving pretty quickly after they discover that they don't really know what's going on. So one way to solve that, and we've had a couple customers who've had this initiative pushed down from their leadership, is to make sure that sales associates who are coming in have the training that they need to understand their products. So at a distributor level, that's crucial, so that when your products are sitting on their shelves, the sales associates can push those forward and start having rapport with your brand. And so that creates an environment where sales associates feel confident, they feel like they're growing, maybe they're being recognized for having that knowledge, and that changes the way you end up having business results through them. So, and it helps to encourage employees to stick with a job, to continue learning, that there's motivation, that the more you learn, the better you're going to be. And ultimately, that's a win-win for everyone. So it's a really interesting perspective, and probably one you wouldn't think about when you're just looking at the balance sheet. But it is one that will produce long-term valuable results.
Yeah, Kat, there's a saying in the training industry. So I've been doing this work for over 20 years, and one of the things that we've heard over and over is, what if I train my people and they leave? Mm-hmm. And I also always question people to ask, well, what if you don't train them and they stay? So it's one of those things where you really want to think about it. It is an investment to train people on your products, on your brand, on your story. But hopefully today you've gotten some ideas as to how this can be streamlined, how it can be simple, how there are some easy, okay, maybe not easy, but some simple steps that you can take to move this forward, and that it doesn't always require completely reinventing the wheel. I think that a lot of companies sort of have this idea that creating a training program is like this big, huge bear over in the corner. Like, how do I even start? Where do I even begin? And so what I want to do now is give you a few steps as to how you can begin to start moving forward in that direction if it's right for your business. So starting a training initiative can feel like a big endeavor, but here are a few steps that can take the stress and overwhelm out of it. The first option is to outsource your course creation to our content team here at BlueVolt. So we work with manufacturers all the time to create product courses and company overview courses, and perhaps one of those is the right next step for you. Or if you have an upcoming product launch, I'd love to challenge you to try transforming your marketing collateral that you're already building for that launch into an online course. We talked about several ways to make this happen as part of a streamlined process, some easy-to-use tools, and of course, we're always here to help and support you along that path as you need it. You can definitely reach out to us here at BlueVolt. And now that you've decided to create So now, if you've decided to create an online course, another thing that you can do is to collaborate with an association to extend your reach. So Kat, can you talk a little bit more about how an association can really help you extend your reach once you've put in the time and the investment of creating, outsourcing for your course creation or doing a test with an upcoming product? Why is that association connection so important for extending your reach?
Yeah, so the connection with the association is just an exciting time for you to be able to reach more people than you ever have before. So because you're part of ASA, let's talk about ASA. Because you're part of ASA, when you upload courses about your products, about how to sell your products, about your company, and you put them into ASA, or you work with ASA to figure out how you could be up on the front screen or how to drive traffic to your courses. But when you put them in, you get access to all the people who are coming to ASA seeking to better themselves, seeking to learn more about your products to sell. And you want your courses to be there so that you get the eyeballs and the brains and the hands-on, if you will, for these particular courses, because then your brand becomes top of mind for them. Your mind share increases, and ultimately these people who will take your courses gain that knowledge, and according to our Voice of the eLearner survey, it's affecting how they sell. It's affecting how they do their job. There's a very high percentage of learners who say that they have become the company expert, if you will, after they have taken courses, that their other coworkers refer to them. Many of these learners also contribute to their sales what knowledge they have been learning. So imagine what you can do by putting your content into ASA and how far that's going to extend in ways that you might not even know yet. So it is crucial to not only put in online courses and valuable online courses, but to do so in places like ASA where you're going to see the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think almost to the standpoint that if you're going to go through the effort of outsourcing the course creation or integrating training into your marketing processes that already exist, why not take that extra step, right, to increase the number of people who are going to have exposure to your courses, people who are going to be taking your courses, because it's just right there, available to you and ready for you once you have stepped into this world of online training.
And the learners want it.
And the learners want it, yes, yes. Okay, so now what I want to do is, I promised you I would take good care of your time today, and we're right now almost at the 30-minute mark that we've been going through this presentation. So what I want to do right now is just take a few moments to review the 3 training mistakes and what we've talked about, and then we'll go into a space where we can take some questions if you have them. So mistake number 1 was offering training but not online. What I want you to remember here is that learners of all ages prefer to learn by watching videos and taking online courses. And so do whatever it takes to take some simple steps forward if it's right for your organization to get those online courses built or make some videos of your classroom training that's already happening. Mistake number 2 is offering online courses but not frequently. So a best practice our most successful manufacturers use is to release a new online course at least once a quarter, which keeps your brand top of mind and helps you differentiate as someone who is interested in investing in the learning of your channel. Mistake number 3 is not offering any training at all. So the cost of doing nothing can be impacting your bottom line. So don't get caught in sort of the waiting game of, well, let's just do it as we've always done it before, or I'm going to wait and see what our competition does before we make our move. Just know that there are areas where you can immediately right now move your business if you were to invest in some of these simple strategies around putting online courses together. So our goal today was to educate you on these mistakes and hopefully give you some simple next steps that you can take in each situation to turn it around if that's what's right for your organization right now. So because each organization is different, I'm happy to take some questions from you and answer them before we wrap up. And so I think that you have a question and answer a place where you can post questions. You can post them in the chat. If you have any questions, I would love to take time and answer them or go through them one by one. And we're just going to give this just a few minutes to see what questions come in, and then depending on what comes our way, we'll wrap up. So while you guys are submitting your questions, I'll go ahead and let you know about an upcoming webinar that we already have scheduled. So on November 15th at 9 o'clock PST, same time as today, we'll be hosting another session on our Channel Learning Canvas. So the Channel Learning Canvas helps suppliers create a strategy to leverage learning to support their business goals. So whether this is ILT or online training, whatever kind of training you're doing or learning that you're offering, what we're going to teach you through the Channel Learning Canvas is really how to balance prioritizing your content and your experience to engage your learners in ways that will move your business forward with some business results. So we really hope that you'll join us for that webinar as well that's coming up next month. Any questions come in, Kat?
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple. We'll kind of start with the ones that are higher level and get a little deeper, because it looks like there's a few that we could chat a long time about. The first one is on the slide where you had the statistics for different methods of learning. What other types of learning can we put in the form of a course that would be uploaded to an LMS?
Okay, so that's a great question. One of the things that you can count on is that basically if you have information about your product, we can transform that information into an online course or into a learning asset that we would be able to post in our learning management system. It could be anything from a quick reference guide, which is a sheet with just a few simple steps, or a checklist. We can also put audio files in there. So if, podcasts, more and more people are listening to podcasts and learning from the standpoint of auditory, which I think is great, because a lot of times we're trying to squeeze learning in on the go, right? When we're in the car or while we're, taking a walk. There's all kinds of ways you can maximize your time to learn something, and audio is a great way to do that. So something like those SME interviews and getting that behind the scenes of the product, that's a great way to consider doing that, which is one I don't think people readily think of when they're thinking about online training, right? But the goal is that your LMS becomes the one-stop place where your learners go to access relevant, credible, reliable information about your products. So from audio files to quick reference guides to, full online courses, marketing presentations, online videos. So any of the videos that you have already created, whether they're for your website or you're posting them on YouTube, wherever it is that you're posting them, one of the beautiful things about and most helpful things about a learning management system is that you can track the way that your learners are going through the information and that they're getting that information. And so whereas on YouTube, you might have a number of times that it's been viewed, or on your website, you can check those statistics. When you take that video and wrap it up with a few relevant questions and put it online as a course, you're now being able to check that the learners actually took away some knowledge and application from the video, and also be able to measure, like, how long are they watching the video? What are they taking away from that? Have they completed that course? So there's all kinds of information that you can get on the back end from taking those same videos that you've already created, wrapping them up into an online course, and then putting them on the LMS.
Thank you. Here's another great question. How can I know if my learners are actually engaged in my courses or retaining the knowledge?
So one of the things that you will definitely want to look for and want to make sure that you integrate if you're going to take this step into online learning is making sure that you know what success looks like and that you're evaluating the training. And so when you're using an LMS, you have the ability to ask questions both during the course and after the course. You can track the answers to those questions at an item level or just at a course completion level. You can set a passing grade, right, if you want to make sure that people get at least 80% of the questions right. And so there's all kinds of opportunities for you to be able to evaluate, is my training effective? We have an ability for learners to be able to rate the training. Did they enjoy it? They can let us know what feedback they have. They can let us know what courses they'd like to see in the future. So it really creates a feedback loop with your learners, with the people who are selling your products, that can be tremendously helpful and valuable when you're trying to create and set your learning strategy for the future.
That's great. Thank you. Here's another great question. What constitutes valuable content? So what's the difference between just putting content up for content's sake and actually having valuable content?
Yes, so I'm going to go back to my instructional design roots for a moment to answer this question. So one of the things, so a lot of our customers who are moving in the direction of putting courses online, they already have a marketing background. And one of the things that I like to do is draw a correlation. So, and you're in marketing, Kat, so you'll get this, and let me, feel free to chime in here. But from a marketing standpoint, it's a pretty good rule of thumb that you never go forward with a marketing initiative without first knowing your call to action. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So in learning, what you want to do is there's no reason to move forward with an online learning initiative until you know what you want the learner to be able to do differently at the end of the training. This is called a learning objective. It doesn't have to be tricky or technically confusing. I like for people to think about it almost as a call to action in a marketing realm, right? So in a marketing realm, you might have a blog post that you're going to post, and the call to action is to visit our website and download a quick reference guide. Well, from a training perspective, your learning objective might be, be able to state the top 3 features and benefits of this product to a customer who walks in the door and asks questions about, and they need this type of solution. So make sure that you get clear on exactly what it is you want, and you can simply just ask yourself the question, what is my learner going to be able to do at the end of this training program that they weren't able to do before they took it? That's your learning objective, and what you want to do is just make sure that every single bit of information that you put into that course helps the learner accomplish that goal. If you just implement those simple strategies, your relevance and value of your training is going to go way up, and you won't even have to be wondering about that question.
I think that's a really great point. I think that if you were to take it even to the next level, so it's kind of like you've got these steps, right? So we're going to create relevant content. You do what Jeannie says and create that call to action for the learners of what they're going to do at the end of this course. If you're ready to go to the next step, I think the second question would be to ask, who is the learner? Is the learner a salesperson? Is the learner someone in the warehouse? Is the learner just someone who stands behind the counter and doesn't necessarily do in-depth sales? And so then you would create maybe multiple pieces of content about one particular product that targets that specific learner. Some of the feedback we received from distributor learners from ASA was, can you provide content specifically on how to sell the product? So creating that anecdotal selling strategy as opposed to only providing the specifications of a product. Mm-hmm. So really taking the relevant content that you provide to the next level of who is the learner who's taking the course and how would they most benefit.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Kat. And one of the things that I love about online learning is you always have the opportunity to develop like one straight path through the content, but provide supplemental content along the way, right? Because we all like to learn differently. Some people want just the bare minimum, right? Some people want to know all the product details. And so when you're creating online courses, you have the opportunity to give, the basics in the course, but always say, hey, if you want the product specifications, click here to download our product specs. If you want to review a sales scenario, click here, and we're going to show you a sales scenario. So it's really, that is something that I feel like online learning almost provides better than an instructor-led classroom, because the learner gets to sort of choose their pathway through the content in the way that is most relevant and applicable to them and their job situation. And so that alone is going to increase your engagement tremendously. So
that's great. I think we have time for maybe one more, because we do want to stay right at that 45-minute mark.
Okay.
And this one, Jeannie, we might have to share together again.
Okay.
This is a question. Do you have more information about the Voice of the e-Learner survey?
So I'm going to go ahead and let you start with that one, Kat, because I know
I was going to get this question.
I know you have been, you've been rallying that effort, and so I would love to hear more myself.
So the Voice of the e-Learner survey, we decided that as a company and as a company that cares about people's training efforts, that we wanted to get inside of the learner's brain to understand how they feel about training, how they feel about valuable courses, do they apply it to their sales, all of these different aspects of how a learner views training. And what that survey came back with was incredibly valuable information, not only for associations like ASA, but also for suppliers like you, in terms of what content people are looking for, how they attribute it to their sales, how they take that knowledge and grow for their own personal gain as well as yours. And so we have published a survey in 2016, and we redid the same survey this year. And so if you are interested in learning more about the Voice of the e-Learner, I know that ASA will have their segment, and you can chat with ASA about maybe looking at some of those results, or you can definitely schedule some time with Jeannie to review these results and what these results mean and imply for your courses and your training. We'd be more than happy to share that information with you. So that's where we've collected some of these statistics and really are making a pivot to focus on what learners are asking for in terms of what kind of training we should recommend.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm really excited about taking a closer look at those results, and I would love to have the opportunity to chat with any and all of you with how those results impact your specific situation. So maybe, Kat, let's advance to the next slide, and where people can find our contact information. So on the screen, you'll see that you can contact me, Kat, and Tina through BlueVolt. You can visit our website at BlueVolt.com. We're based in Portland, although I live and work in South Carolina, so we've got all the time zones covered here from East to West Coast. And just don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We would love to have the opportunity to talk more about your specific online training needs. Awesome. So we will wrap up for today. Thank you guys so much for participating. I hope to see you at the upcoming webinar on November 15th. On the Channel Learning Canvas, you can find more information about that webinar and how to register through the ASA website. Thanks so much.
Thank you.